What is looksmaxxing? To put it simply, it's the idea that you can max out your appearance in any way possible. This could be as simple as using a facial moisturizer, maybe getting some Botox, but it could get as exciting as threading your eyelids to make them have a positive canthal tilt. And man, I wish I was kidding about that. You might also be asking, what is positive canthal tilt? Your eyes have two corners, the inner near your nose and the outer near your temples, and the canthal tilt is the angle that these corners make. Think of it as like a straight line drawn from the inner corner to the outer corner. Does it slope up, or does it stay flat, or does it slope down? Positive canthal tilt is when the outer corner of your eye is tilted slightly up compared to the inner corner of your eye, creating this winged shape. Negative canthal tilt is when the outer corner of your eye is tilted downwards and the inner corner is tilted upwards. And the positive canthal tilt is associated with a degree of vibrancy, a appearance of attraction. So men will go to extreme lengths to create this tilt on their face, sometimes in a very artificial way. If this all sounds like a bit of overkill to be concerning yourself with, you would be absolutely correct. Because in the reality and in the grand scheme of life, something such as canthal tilt doesn't really impact your day-to-day that much. But it's undeniable that in the marketplace of today, attraction does go a very, very long way and can build people's entire empires alone, just by looking attractive. A study in the Journal of Economics and Psychology found that attractive people earn about 10 to 15% more on average than unattractive peers. For men, height and facial symmetry correlate very well with higher salaries and holding leadership roles. For example, CEOs are disproportionately taller and more conventionally attractive than their counterparts. Research in human resource journals show a resume with a photo of an attractive candidate get about 36% more callbacks. University of Helsinki study that found unattractive men had to send 50% more job applications to land interviews. To be fair, this effect isn't as pronounced in laborious jobs or skill demanded jobs like technicians, coders, and things like that. It is still prominent within these areas, enough so that it's statistically significant. But unfortunately, this isn't where the benefits stop of being attractive. The top 10% of men on Tinder receive 58% of all of the likes on Tinder combined. This was in 2020, by the way, so now it's probably much worse. And are you familiar with the halo effect? No, not the Master Chief 117, our Lord and Savior. This is something different. This is where people have a subjective and honestly subconscious feeling that attractive people are a little bit more trustworthy, intelligent, and have competence, where the unattractive counterparts aren't quite the same. This isn't only seen in society, but it's felt by people, often I'm sure. Because according to JAMA, an apex journal in science, attractive people experience less anxiety and depression by quite a notable degree. Of course, attraction is a subjective metric, however, there is some general principles that most people agree on as being generally attractive. Small waist, broad shoulders, the canthal tilt is a real thing suggested by literature, and many more traits. But this all leads us to one of the youngest look maxers I've ever seen. His name's Clavicular. Welcome to the K-hole, Clavicular. He treats his skull like a poorly planned Home Depot DIY project. But the question is Clavicular just a flat earth theorist of look maxing, or does he have actual facts to support what he's doing, and is it correct? Or even safe for that matter? Well, in this video we see Clavicular using bidirectional cogs he found on eBay. In translation, this means Walmart craft supplies, to manufacture artificially a canthal tilt. What this is basically a non-surgical thread placed in a subcutaneous portion of your skin, so under that first layer of skin, that will latch on and then anchor into your skin and then pull it tight so that you can artificially create a facelift without surgery. Now, keep in mind, while I'm showing you this, he's 18 years old. And as he pulls on the strings from his eyes, he says that if he died, at least he would have positive canthal tilt. So obviously he's right in the mind. You gotta love the internet. So many people here that are just worthy of talking about. Now, before I continue, if you're enjoying the face field chaos, I do suggest that you smash the like button and hit subscribe. It does me massive favors. I'm trying to build this audience to a staggering number, and hopefully it's gonna allow us to keep roasting grifters on the internet like this guy and many, many more, instead of becoming one, so I don't have to show myself out to make a little bit of dime.
Okay, this is how much we got to pull with this time. You see? So we're pulling the, ooh, you see that? Positive canthal tilt, my G. Positive canthal tilt is what I have now. You see my fucking canthus boy? I'm literally Elias the poop. I'm literally Elias the poop without a shit mandibular plane. I'm literally Jordan Barrett, bro. I swear to you.
So does this threading method actually work? Well, yeah, it does. You're manually pulling your skin with a thread to basically tighten it. But there are concerns, of course, one of which being permanent scarring. When you start jamming things in that subcutaneous layer, you're still gonna be able to develop scarring, especially if you hit the wrong areas and the wrong vasculature, which is not a pretty thought. Another one being unilateral imbalances. Imagine you get one eyebrow to be perfect, but the other one is completely wrong, and now you have to put another thread in. And this isn't even mentioning the possibility of infections, which doesn't look like the most sterile environment in the world to be jabbing things in your face. But we're just getting started because it goes much deeper than DIY surgeries. You remember tren, right? It's a compound that we often talk about, 19-nortestosterone derivative, Trenbolone. It is the one steroid that many people take and editorialize online to make it sound like it's something so amazing and unique. But what it really does is causes architectural changes to the brain, makes you kind of paranoid, insecure, and much worse things. I mean, it creates an environment that's so unnatural you can develop lactating nipples as a man, which is just kind of crazy. So yeah, it's great stuff, or at least that's what the internet would have you believe. Now look, I'm not here to virtue signal. I've been on tren before. I help bodybuilders. I'm a professional bodybuilder. I've done these things before and I understand how they work. However, I've never seen people use tren the way that Clavicular is attempting to use tren, which is to modify his facial features and improve a mid-ass physique.
Bit of a video about my experience on Trenbolone and Nenthate. So tren is like a very, intense steroid, and there's a lot of common misconceptions about Trenbolone, so I kind of want to clear the air and, make a little bit of a documentary about my experience on the compound, whether it's worth it in terms of looksmaxing or whether this is something that you should avoid at all costs. And I would say that tren is quite positive, and most of the copes that you read on the internet and like Reddit r/steroids are just completely wrong, right?
One thing that is interesting is that tren is more closely linked to severe anxiety, paranoia, and hallucinations than anything that will alter your face. Clavicular is already basically halfway there. He's out here stapling his face, talking about positive canthal tilt as a means to improve his life. Bro's not looks-maxing, he is psychosis-maxing. The thing is, too, is he's using a dose that far exceeds what I would recommend for even most bodybuilders in a prep
life, right? So right now I'm currently pinning 200 milligrams, so I'll split it into 2 doses per week on like Tuesday and Saturday, for example, and I'll pin it sub-Q into my hips. That way you don't really feel the oil. It's not really a nuisance in any way. And you could save your ventral glutes for other injections like your testosterone, because right, you don't want to have to be pinning your delts and your traps, and that way it's just a lot of avoidable pain, right?
200 milligrams a week of Trenbolone is nuts. And this is, mind you, just to achieve a more attractive face. He mentions that it grows bones, but this is just so unfounded, it's crazy. He also mentions that it's gonna keep his face slim, which honestly just has no sensibility behind it at all. If we truly look at the pharmacokinetics of something like Trenbolone, it just leaves you scratching your head and thinking, man, I have a feeling this kid just opened up ChatGPT and asked it what he wanted to hear from it, and then regurgitated that to YouTube. with his shitty camera setup. Mind you, this guy is 18 years old, speaking as an authority about Trenbolone. And what's interesting to me is people often will quote these very specific effects of Trenbolone as if they're super unique and basically only isolated to Trenbolone. All anabolic steroids are doing very, very similar things. Everything that he mentioned in this video, because reasonably, is done by all steroids. This isn't a unique feature of Trenbolone. Not only are the misconceptions of this compound completely deranged, we have much, much worse things on our hands.
50 milligrams of TRT. Just have my blood work come back into range because my liver is a little bit cooked from, you know, heavy drinking, Accutane, some of this kind of stuff. So once I get that fixed up, I'll be green. But right now, bulking on tren, you know, I just started my cut about 2 days ago, but before this I was bulking. I was able to go from about 202 pounds to close to 215 in the better part of a month, which is incredible gains. And as you can see, I haven't gained that significant amount of body fat.
Homie is boozing and blasting Accutane at the same time as he's running his Trenbolone cycle. Taking advice from this guy is literally like letting a raccoon do your taxes. It's entertaining, sure, you're just gonna be homeless at the end of the year. We're still far from the end here. He posted this video about 2 weeks ago titled Update. In this video, he's talking about surgery maxing at 18 years old. Basically, he got an MRI of his head to determine what kind of implants would best suit him. Then straight after that, he headed to the dentist trying to get his teeth straightened, which costed him $7 grand, and then furthermore costed him an additional $1 to $2 grand to get his wisdom teeth removed.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is my second attempt at making the YouTube video because my dumbass forgot to include the audio input. So I rambled and rambled for like 15 minutes without any success making a video. So that's why I'm a little upset right now. But anyway, I just wanted to give a little bit of an update as to why I haven't been uploading on YouTube. It's been, what, 3 months since my last video. As you can see, I'm a bit lazy. I haven't even done my laundry since my last YouTube video. So that's kind of where we're at. But I figure I owe it to my fans to give them an update as to why the hell I haven't been uploading. There's got to be some good reason, right? So the reason is, it's because I've been doing a lot of stuff trying to work towards getting a full Trimax, whatever the hell you want to call it, surgery maxing, and this is the progress that I've made. So I drove about 2 hours to get a CAT scan of my head, where they slide you into the MRI machine. It's a whole process, very expensive. I spent about $2 grand on it, drove 2 hours, it sucked. But I got that done, and now I know where I'm at for what surgeries I need, what kind of implants I could get, so I've got that all figured out. The next thing that I had to do, that I did about a week ago before I go anywhere or do any surgery, is to align my teeth. So I've got lower dental crowding, right, as you could probably tell watching this video. So I go to the orthodontist, they scan my head again, do all these weird x-rays and shit, and they say it's gonna be $7,500 for your Invisalign. I'm like, what the fuck? So I buy it out of pocket. I don't have insurance or any of that bullshit. Whatever. Money down the drain again, but I guess it should ascend me. Hopefully having a better smile will be a halo, that halo that I'm looking for to give me that extra little boost that I've been needing. Then the final cherry on top that also kind of fucked with me a little bit was they tell me, you got to spend another couple grand to get your wisdom teeth pulled out. I'm like, you people are starting to really fuck with me, and they're ripping me off and all this shit.
And he mentioned something quite scary, which this is him trying to get the halo that he needs, if you remember the reference we talked about before.
Money down the drain again, but I guess it should ascend me. Hopefully having a better smile will be a halo, that halo that I'm looking for to give me that extra little boost that I've been needing.
The words there are just terrifying. To give me the extra boost I've been needing. This is a young kid who genuinely looks fine, like he looks great. And I'm not even shitting you, like he looks better than I ever did when I was his age or am now. And that was before all of this craziness. Yet he's going to these extremes to achieve a said halo effect, yet I doubt anybody really cares that much. And the fun and wild thing here to think about is that he hasn't really reached full maturation as a human yet. He hasn't developed the cognitive capacity as someone who's 26 to 30 years old, and he's doing all of this stuff. Talk about jumping the gun. There's no difference here from an 18-year-old OnlyFans girl posting up her content as soon as she turns 18, and then a year later realizes what she's done and absolutely regrets it.
Let's see. I don't know. Editor, can you try to put that right there? So as you can see, if I managed to get the thing on the screen, is the top molars are kind of enlarged into my upper jaw.
Bro does not have an editor, clearly.
What I've been doing is I have been on a pretty heavy bulk, which is why I haven't been incentivized to do content, is because I feel like I am descended from my peak. So people say, well, you actually look better here a couple months ago, so how are you LooksMaxxing? Well, guess what? LooksMaxxing isn't a linear thing. It's actually, it's just not a straight line up. There's going to be some dips where you're bulking and you're descending yourself at higher body fat, and then you're going to have to come back later and peak yourself when you go on a cut. You don't want to be like these fitness influencers who are chiseled and diced 12 months of the year, because they make absolutely no gym progress. Because if you're not in a surplus or near it, and you're, not getting above 10% body fat, there's just no room on the table to make any gains. You can't do it. You need to have carbs and you need to have protein. You can't just starve yourself to death and work out and expect to get fuck all gains. It's all about the food that you eat to fuel your body to make gains. And I'm not even on a lot of steroids right now. All I'm taking is 250 milligrams of test per week and 30 milligrams of VAR before I work out.
Oh man, this is great. Here we go again. Look, do you need a calorie surplus to grow muscle? Not what you're thinking, no. A calorie surplus is suggested, but you have to understand that that's only basically 100 to 200 calories over what would be your maintenance calorie intake. You don't need to constantly be bamboozling yourself with calories just to gain weight. There's no bodybuilder in the history of time that's ever gained more than 10 pounds or 12 pounds a year in lean contractile tissue. So why are you trying to gain a pound a month? Why are you trying to gain pounds a week? You don't need to get uncomfortably fat because you're bulking, bro. You can stay lean, be happy with your appearance, and have confidence within how you look and still build muscle. Because getting obese just because you want to bulk hasn't related well to security at all. In fact, he is so insecure that he can't even record for his fans due to how much he's bulked. I think that's called disordered eating. As someone who's coached many professional bodybuilders, has his PNBA pro card, and did it physically disabled, mind you, this is complete bullshit. But go ahead, you fats don't believe me. Just keep getting fatter and less happy with yourself, and I'll stay shredded year round with a sick jawline and a great physique.
The other thing that I did for gym selling is I switched my training routine a little bit to, instead of working out for 4 times a week, doing a heavy chest workout, 10 sets, whatever. Now I'm doing 6 days or 7 days of training, and I'm only doing 1 set. So I'm doing a push day, and then I'm doing a pull day, and I'm alternating back and forth. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. And if you're asking where's the leg day in there, there is none. I'm just doing 1 set of legs, 1 set of quad extensions after my chest day, and 1 set of seated hamstring curls on my pull day. So I'm just doing 1 set per muscle group since I'm training them every other day. So I just do 1 heavy set all out to failure for my chest. And that's it. That's all you need if you're training with that many training days in the week. And I've been actually blowing up a lot, making a lot of progress in the gym. I'm actually the biggest that I've ever been without having too much detriment to my facial aesthetics.
Okay, this is just getting insanely dumb. Does this man really think that he's smarter than all of the fitness industry, the fitness influencers making millions of dollars, all of exercise science research, and every professional bodybuilder on earth? You need to do more to look even remotely jacked. This is the physique he's achieved whilst taking steroids, mind you. This literally looks like the 15-year-old version of my physique. Maybe if you tried a little bit harder harder in the gym and stop being so fucking lazy, he might actually have a solid physique. And for those of you who are wondering if his physique is obtainable naturally, for the love of all things holy, it absolutely is, brother. And in fact, you could probably achieve that physique in about half the time that he did, naturally. This really just lets me know where he's getting all the money for his surgeries, this video in specific. He's basically using that big laundry pile back there as collateral for the bank so that he can loan out the money to buy all these surgeries. And I just can't believe his gym routine. Basically, 250 milligrams of testosterone, 30 milligrams of Anavar, and 0 leg days. Did you know studies show that skipping leg days actually shrinks your brain, literally, which explains a lot here. Bro's out here looking like a KFC drumstick, all chest and absolutely 0 thighs. I don't know how that's a looksmaxing. Honestly, he's not even a looksmaxer. He's just a cautionary tale with a YouTube channel at this point. While he has some seriously good pieces of advice, which can be tangible and useful, a lot of his advice is so estranged and those useful bits are so far and few between. I would actually err on the side of saying probably don't watch his content because it's self-destructive more than it's constructive at all. And for those of you who are interested in looksmaxing and actually being attractive, there's a very simple path to that. I promise it doesn't require all of this nonsense. I would say about 90 to 95% of your attraction will come from these few things. Lose all the body fat you can, sustain around 10% body fat, basically year-round. This will ensure that your jawline is more pronounced, your facial features will be a better look, and when you take off your shirt, you get the added benefit of being something that everyone looks at because they're impressed. And if you're over 21, I do suggest getting Botox injections. Get ahead of the wrinkles before they actually happen. Those age lines come from the wincing and movements within your face. Get rid of the shit before it becomes a problem, and you'll be good. You can also create this positive canthal tilt too with Botox. Simply putting the Botox in your forehead but leaving these areas loose allows you to kind of have that facial structure that everyone so desires. Apply a ton of moisturizer to your face about 2 times a day. Clean your face about 2 times a day. Use a topical retinoid maybe a few times a week. This is gonna shrink your pores and make sure your skin is relatively clear, and get a fade. Job's done. Honestly, it is that easy. And if you wanna skip all of that, you can just head over to Eastern Asian countries and call it good too. They'll accept just about anybody over there with some good coin. But seriously, you don't need to be doing all of this. I mean, he's building a audience from sensationalism, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. People online, when they can show conviction in a massive way, when they can preach in a way that makes it sound like they couldn't believe anything else from what they're doing, it buys people in, it gets people interested, it makes people question what they're doing and if it's actually as effective because they're not as convicted. So when you can be manically convicted to your ideology, you're going to recruit people no matter what. You could be doing some of the most insane things and people are going to find it valuable because you believe it's working. Dusk Faziski. I believe I'm pronouncing that completely incorrect, but that's the guy. He says the most dangerous man isn't the one who is intentionally doing things as a villainous act. He's the one who's doing things because he thinks it's right and righteous, meanwhile committing sins that he doesn't even realize. And this is a case of that righteousness coming to show. It's conviction, it's recruiting people, it's gaining an audience that is radicalized with these ideas that might not actually play out in reality as well as it could seem when you talk so generally. But I don't know, what do you think? Comment down below, tell me, and YouTube thinks you'll like this video. So give it a click and give her a watch.